Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRose is here with us this morning. And we got some special guests in the building.
Yes,
we have Derrick Johnson, the president of the NAACP. Welcome.
Be here.
We have Scott Mills, CEO of BET. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
And we have a friend to the room, cousin to the room, Chloe Bailey, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back.
Hello.
How you feeling? How's everybody?
Fantastic.
Cold.
Cold?
Cold.
Oh, you must not be from New York then.
Hey, I came up from Mississippi, man.
Oh, yeah.
wow.
That's where y'all based out of?
No. I live in Jackson,
okay.
Mississippi, but
Gotcha.
the headquarters Baltimore. Yeah.
Got you.
Office LA and New York and Baltimore.
Got you.
All right, so we're talking about the NAACP Image Awards live, which goes down February 22nd. And you guys have released some of the nominations this morning. And you're about to tell us who's going to be the host.
Actually, we're not yet disclosing that.
Oh, okay, I tried.
We're happy to share other things.
We assuming it's Chloe since she's here.
She's here.
Press run.
Y'all got her on the press run.
There you go. Well, it's hard to be both a nominee and a host. So
That is correct.
That's a first for everything.
there you go.
Why are you with them, Chloe? Like,
Why are you with them? Why are you with them people?
We're family. We're family.
We are definitely family. You know, growing up as well, Sis and I, we would go and sing a lot of
Yes.
times at, the events in Florida several times and things like that. And it was just really special to be a part of this today with Praise This, the movie I did with Will Packer, winning last year. And, it was a surprise to me today as we were announcing some of the nominations. I got another nomination.
Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, you didn't know that prior to?
No.
Oh,
No.
wow. God is good.
There you
I
go.
am grateful.
I think the first time you all joined us in ACP, you were like 11, 12.
Yeah,
something like
babies.
that.
Babies.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's important for you to be here with them, especially putting your voice on it, because I think there's always a conversation around like the award shows that we have and whether people in what level of celebrity support it or not. So I think you being here and being kind of like a face of it helps that some too, right? Are you at all like in working with the NAACP in these image awards? Are you at all getting out there for other award shows and just kind of being a champion of that, like? And calling your friends and being like, hey, y'all need to make sure y'all show up. Like, which celebrities are you like, hey, make sure you show up? Particularly Beyonce. She comes.
Beyonce came to the NAACP Awards before her and
Yes,
Jay-Z.
Absolutely.
and I know we getting there.
Yeah, I think this one is really especially important because it is honoring us and all of our blackness. And, sometimes it's hard in this world and society today to not feel valued or feel worthy enough. But definitely in this space at the Image Awards, we are celebrating one another for not only our skin tone, but also the incredible art that we put into the world.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, is it very difficult to get some of our celebrities, actors, actresses, and sports
Actually, have not
figures in?
been. Since we partnered with BET, we have not had a problem getting A-listers. Our biggest issue is the conflict in schedule because during the award season, there's so many things going on. You got NBA All-Star, you got the Super Bowl. But in terms of securing A-listers, we have not had a problem.
And how do we bring award shows back to where it used to be, right? I remember as a kid growing
Money.
up. Money. No, it's perfect
Talk
way.
about it.
Money.
Because growing up as a kid, that's what we aspired to watch. We wanted to see the NAACP Awards. We wanted to see the BET Awards. And some of our biggest moments culturally came from those events. Soul Train as well. How do we get back to that? Now, you say money. What does that money mean?
I mean, the large marketing houses actually put an emphasis on black culture in a way in which it's not exploitive for their product line, but that's supportive of for the culture's sake. What we have seen over time is a devaluing of shows like Soul Train, which love Soul Train, but escalation of resources for the Grammys or the Oscars or the Emmys, while their viewership has been going down, they're still investing in it. But then they say, your viewership is down. Yeah, you don't invest. But if you invest, people want to see black entertainment. People want to appreciate the culture, and it's not just in the U.S., it's globally.
I agree with that, but, there are some black people who think white ice is colder.
There absolutely are. I mean, I think one of the things that was interesting post, that very brief moment of racial renaissance we had in this country post murder of George Floyd.
The
About
black
3 months.
squares.
Right.
At that moment.
The post that, when we were preparing to do the Image Awards with the NAACP, I would get these calls from journalists, and they'd say, "Is there still a need for the Image Awards? Aren't we beyond that?" And I said,
You're so white.
Right. And I said, first of all, I think that suggestion means you really don't understand why the Image Awards exist. It doesn't exist because we were excluded from other places. First and foremost, it is about that our community values being recognized and celebrated by our community. And That has absolute value. But the second thing is, what we understand about this country is it's terribly fickle, right? So today, oh yes, we're wonderfully popular and you want to include us in all of your award shows, but this is not going to sustain. And what the NAACP and the partnership with BET, we have a consistent commitment to celebrating excellence in our community. And that's really what our partnership for the Image Awards is all about.
NAACP and BET, they are legacy brands, cultural institutions, but what do they mean to people now?
Well, in many cases, for NAACP, it's all about advocacy. Right now, as we sit here, we have several million people who've had their student loans canceled because of the advocacy of the NAACP. When the campaign kicked off, that was our campaign. We white labeled, many people use our messaging, our branding, but more importantly, we recognize that the number one employer of African Americans in this country was through the government. And there was a bill passed in Obama that called Public Service Student Loan Forgiveness that was utilized. We advocated and got the Biden administration to change it so that more people qualify to get all of their debt forgiven. It's close to $5+ billion that has impacted Black households as a result of that. That's what the NAACP means. But more importantly, we cannot talk about what Black folks think white folks ice colder, and we don't support our Black institutions. And so we talk about what is their value, what is their relevance. Their relevance and the value is what we put into it, what we invest in it. And far too many people with platforms talk about what we don't have and don't invest in what we actually have.
I think because organizations, especially like NAACP, we don't know what they still do. So even you saying that just now, do y'all do a good enough job of marketing that?
I don't know what the rest of the club do and talk about the work that we do that you and we can talk about, because what happens in these scenarios, it is a better and stronger narrative to talk about what we don't have, what we can't do, as opposed to say, you know what, let me check in to find out what they're doing so we can promote this, so we can push this. The value of the Black vote is so devalued in our minds because we don't think it's important enough. When every decision is made is based through the Black vote. And the only way we get to the Black vote is we collectively put forth the strategy to turn it out in ways in which it's not about the 90 days before the election, is right now looking 2 years from now, is right now looking in November, is right now looking 4 years from now. And that's the power of organizations like the NAACP. We have to start doing it right now, talk about what we're going to do as opposed to talk about what we're not doing.
Question for you guys, because even in planning the show, right? So BET works with the NAACP to have the awards, the program on the network. People always give you guys a lot of flack for what's on the network and what's not, saying that you need better shows or whatever the case may be. But the award show, the Image Awards, it's always a good show, in my opinion. How much do you get tired of the conversation of BET doesn't have good stuff to watch, that's why we don't watch it?
Well, it's fascinating. I think there are always going to be people who are critical. That's the reality of the situation. It's really fun. This morning before coming over, I listened to your best of clip that you guys have online, and one of your featured guests was Miss Pat, right? And it was through Lee Daniels reaching out to BET to say, I have this series that only BET can create. The only platform in the world that can actually put this series out there is BET. It scares everyone else off. It's an important message. So we looked at it. We love Lee Daniels. We greenlit the series, right? And it actually secured BET's first Primetime Emmy nomination, because it was a really breakthrough show, and now everybody knows who Miss Pat is, and she's going on. We're actually in the 5th season of that show. So, and whether it's that or the nominations that we've received for DR from Detroit,
I love that show.
right, fantastic show. DR Kilpatrick is an amazing talent, and the show is great fun, and the amazing work we do with Tyler Perry. The reality is, we have the biggest investment in Black-focused content than any platform in the country, and even with that, you're never going to be able to satisfy every single audience. Right. And so we recognize that there are going to be things that people love, there are going to be things that people wish for, there are going to be things that, people keep on saying, bring back music video shows. Music video shows don't work on linear television. That's just the reality of it. So what we focus on is, what are the things that actually our audiences are really consuming and enjoying? So Tyler Perry's Sisters, we're going into the 8th season. It is the single most watched show among Black people on all of television. Not all of cable, all of television.
That's a fact.
Wow.
Right? So more than anything on broadcast television. So people say, there'll be some people who complain about BET, but the fact that we have the single most watched show in Black households. So that is a long way of saying we are always striving to be more inclusive. So we created our streaming platform, BET Plus, to be able to create even more content, speak to diverse audiences. We think our tent poles, like the NAACP Image Awards, like the BET Awards, which this year is going to celebrate its 25th anniversary, if you can believe that. We think our tent poles are those, to their name, they are the things that allow us to bring a huge cross-section of the community together to come and celebrate what's really important to us as a community. One of the things this year, over 3 million folks tuned in to the BET Awards in 2024. And if you think about that, it means it's the single largest gathering of Black people for a Black event in the country, right? There's nothing else that 3 million Black folks show up for that is a specifically Black event. And so you still have this opportunity to catalyze, mobilize, and engage our community, and you just have to be very thoughtful and have great partners like the NAACP.
Does your host help you pick the theme of the year? Our stories, our culture, our excellence. Does the host have any say in that?
Well, that's actually, I'll let Derrick speak to that first.
Yeah, we every year we identify what should be the theme that resonates. We do focus groups to determine what's the pulse of the Black community. And we also began to look at the African diaspora, recognizing what we do here set the tone across the globe. And so the theme, our comms department, they spend a lot of times doing some marketing research, and we come up with our theme every year as a result.
What does BET mean to your generation, Chloe? Because you're 26.
Yes. So.
Oh, can you pull her mic up a little bit?
I tried. It ain't more.
As far as it goes.
Hello. I think, for me growing up, I'm a music lover. I grew up loving 106 in Park. Like, I think I could speak for everyone in my generation. I know certain things go into a lot, but that was like the show for me to be inspired, to get excited. Like, that was it. Like, I'd run home from school and that's what I'd put on. So I was used to seeing people who looked like me who were succeeding in a field that I wanted to succeed in one day. So BET has always had a special place in my heart, especially think of all the groundbreaking performances. Like, when Beyonce had her incredible performance on there. Yeah. I'm so grateful that I got to be on that stage 2-3 times. One of my favorite performances that I did on there was on BET. It was like this surprise Treat Me mashup. So it's like, I feel like BET gives a platform for all Black artists, whether they are at the top of their game or whether they're rising. And I think it's really special to have that support.
So when you hear that, Scott, what do you think? As CEO?
So I love it. And one of the things that we focus on is we understand people love 106 in Park, right? And so the fact that it doesn't work as a linear television show doesn't mean 106 in Park is over, because we can bring 106 in Park back as a podcast. We can bring 106 in Park back as a digital experience. And we can we are evolving what 106 in Park will look like in 2025, because it does have that very important role.
Oh, so y'all are bringing.
Is it happening? I've heard that you guys are trying to figure out a show like that.
Yes, and we've got a number of really exciting executions, because it's also we're approaching the 25th anniversary of 106 in Park as well. So
we'll
we
get
will
a little bit AG and free on that 25 year.
We will. There'll be some things that you guys will be really excited about, and we look forward to coming back and talk to you about 106 in Park.
With AJ and free.
There you go. Noted. But I think the other thing that Chloe shared that is so important is we at BET exist to be in service of our community and our culture. That's what we exist for. And we understand that there's a broad ecosystem of different institutions and individuals that make up our community and our culture. And we are part of that broader landscape and that broader ecosystem. And we play a supporting complementary role to our community and our ecosystem. And whether that's celebrating Black excellence, whether that's mobilizing our community around important events, whether that's coming to the aid of our community in the face of COVID. But to Chloe's very specific point, one of the things that our team loves is to be a platform that both celebrates our most successful artists who are absolutely at the pinnacle of their careers, and simultaneously to identify and support those emerging artists, to give them the platform, because we were so many artists' very first time to be on television, right? So many artists' very first time to perform. The number of managers and label executives who come up and say, we are so appreciative to be back at the BET Awards because this is where our talent XYZ got their very first break. That really resonates with our team.
Does talent still appreciate BET?
Talent does. Talent does.
The young artists?
Talent does. What you'll have is the world is absolutely changing, right? The role that television plays, the role that media plays is absolutely changing. And we all have to accept that. And so for the BET Awards, we have, if you think about young artists, right, in 2024, we had a huge array of young artists who are out. And you think about even all the young artists who came out to celebrate Usher. So it is, artists absolutely value the platform, and artists absolutely support the platform. And what we do is then extend that from television across digital, across streaming platforms, so that we can be present and relevant everywhere that's important to our audience.
Can you tell us some of the performers that you guys have planned for the NAACP Awards?
We will be revealing performers as we get closer. We're doing a rollout now, and it's very intentional because we're trying to build the audience. The platforms by which people consume information is shifting every month. You know, as you know, we grew up listening to the Tom Joyner morning show. Breakfast Club took it over. Well, quite frankly, there's going to be a podcast to take over Breakfast Club, and so we're 160.
Right. What's happening here?
Now you're just talking, Derrick. First of all, Breakfast Club did not take over Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner retired on his own accord.
No. I'm talking about
there's-
audience.
I think you mean
No, but it's two
there's
different
a
audiences.
void.
Tom Joyner was urban adult contemporary. He catered to the
Urban
25-54 demo. We came around 18 to 24. And the Breakfast Club is a podcast, not just a podcast. We're the #1 black podcast in the world and have been for 8-9
You're doing
years.
everything perfect, but somebody going to do it better later.
What do you mean?
Is that going to be next month they come up, or is it going to be next year? You're doing everything perfect.
Why do we do that as black people?
I don't know. You started that. So
You
we're
just
here
asked
now.
him 5 questions
No,
about
no,
the
no,
week.
no.
You
Why
started
do
BT
we
Mass in 5
always
different
need
ways.
something to replace
Thank you,
something?
sister.
Why all of these things can't coexist
It
as one?
can coexist, but I'm responding to the tone. And the tone is we have legacy organizations. We have media companies that have been a flagpole in our community. We have a show we're on now where the podcast has been excellent. We had other shows that sunsetted. It is a part of the ecosystem of who we are as a community, and we should meet people where they are.
Well, who's replaced the NAACP, Derrick?
That's a good question. They ain't ready.
I'm asking. But that's what I mean when I say that. Like, why do we do that as a people? Like, oh, just replace that. Like, no, everything can coexist as one.
You and I, we absolutely agree, but the tone set was something differently, right? So if she is 26 and she can appreciate 106 in Park, there's someone who's NAACP, but if NAACP is not the right vehicle or voice for them, I support them choosing the right vehicle of voice, because in the social justice movement, it's not a competition, it's an opportunity for our voices to be heard. In the entertainment community, it's not a competition, it's an opportunity for our voices, our culture to be experienced. And that's how we should be approaching all of this. And so where BET right now is in an industry that's shrinking overall, what Scott is doing is trying to figure out, okay, how do we continue to advance our culture and our voice? Where NAACP, we are in a political dynamic that has shifted. It is our job, being the largest organization in 47 states, to continue to evolve with that. We're not going anywhere. I don't want the Breakfast Club to go anywhere. BET shouldn't go anywhere. We should all be leaning to our culture, our opportunity, and our voice.
Well, I agree. These institutions shouldn't go anywhere, but I do think they do have to evolve. Like, I doubt I'll always be here as a host. I doubt Envy will always be here as a host, right? People like Lauren, the Jesses will take over and everything. But when it comes to the NAACP or any of these institutions, whose job is it to tell our own stories?
Us. It's our job, right?
Yes.
And that's why when we took over, we sought the partnership with BTV on Paramount. We have a joint venture with Paramount TV. We will have a soap opera air next month on the 22nd on CBS Daytime. We're about to launch our podcast. We have to evolve. That our revenue streams have to evolve. How we approach this, organizations should not be driven by personality. It should be driven by mission and strategy. I agree. So we all have to evolve.
Absolutely right. And I think to underscore that point, so BET celebrating its 45th anniversary this year, right? You don't typically think of 45-year-old media companies. The reality is BET has changed radically over that 45-year period. It's had multiple leaders over that 45-year period. It's gone from being primarily a cable network to a cable network with streaming platforms, with studios, with digital platforms. So this evolution, this idea of taking all of the things that make BET magical, but lensing it through the way consumers and our community is engaging content, media, the world, and evolving our business to reflect that is what we do at BET. And so the BET today is different from what BET looked like 10 years ago, and the BET 10 years from now will look very different from that. And I think our success has been, we grew the BET Awards 10% last year, right? People don't grow viewership of award shows, right? Mm-hmm. And we do that because we're constantly evolving, we're constantly adapting and adjusting. what talent is relevant in this moment, what talent's going to appeal to that young person, and then simultaneously, what other talent do you put in the show that's going to appeal to someone who's not as young as that young person, so that you can bring the full community together.
Let me ask you a question. Sports doesn't work well on BET, does it?
Sports works well on linear television. The challenge is sports rights have gotten insanely expensive.
Because I look at all these HBCU, right? I DJ'd the Howard Hampton game was on CBS the other day, and I'm watching a lot of these college games on TV, and I always thought to myself, with all the HBCUs and how it's been a splurge for HBCUs, everybody supporting HBCUs, it was just always weird to me why BET didn't put their arm around it and be like, I need all those games here, where people actually come there.
It's a great question, and in fact, when BET started, BET used to air HBCU games. I'm told that there's footage of Bob Johnson running along the sidelines doing live commentary at HBCU games, so I'm trying to look for it. But the reality is, because of the evolution of college football, and because of the proliferation of access to sports across all of these platforms, that the demand, the viewership interest in HBCU sports right now isn't high enough to kind of support the investment. Having said that, the entry point that we think is really exciting, that we're really focused on, is you now have a bunch of brothers who went off and played in the NFL have said, we want to remedy this dynamic where, top black athletes feel like they have to go to other schools to be competitive. We want to remedy that dynamic, right? So you saw the recent announcements about the brothers,
Jackson,
right.
That's
and
my alma mater.
Okay, there you go. And so now,
University.
right, there you go. So now the opportunity is we take our footprint, our platform, our relationships, and then we bring them to these luminaries who are going back to these HBCUs and building those teams, and then we focus on the stories and the people and the journey, and we get a broader community to be excited about this, and we actually use it to build interest in HBCU football, and that we think is the way to actually elevate interest in HBCU football, which will then allow us to bring more games to the network.
Are you still buying BET, Scott? I remember there was a news report that came out that said you and the group was going to buy it.
We never spoke to that as a business, as a corporate matter, so that's all been rumors and speculation, and I am as a corporate matter, we don't speak to rumors and speculation.
You can go off media train. I know that.
What I think is really cool about BET and NAACP coming together is that to your point, even though it is a competitive field, we can all uplift each other, and I think that's what the two of your companies have done together, because we're constantly taught, well, I was as a black woman, that, okay, you can be here in this space, but not too many or not too much. So I think, moving forward for people like me and my generation, it is important for us to see, hey, a lot of us can be in this space. Like, we don't have to blow out someone else's light so another one can shine. We all can be as successful and lift each other up, because I feel like what the world has done to us for several years, our ancestors and past generations, is that they've continued to just push us down. So it's like a lot of times we have to get out of like the crabs in the bucket mentality and uplift each other instead of bringing each other down.
That's why y'all got Chloe here.
Yeah,
so that is a beautiful articulation.
It's smart.
Right.
Okay.
Now, Chloe, speaking of seeing,
Yes.
you bringing a date to the NAACP Awards.
My godmom and my manager.
Okay, so we ain't gonna see no more Burna Boy.
You'll have to ask him.
You're here. He's not.
Uh-oh.
No, Burna's not nominated now. He's not nominated. But you look at the sheet, he's not on there. Chloe's on there. But I'm speaking of support, and we were seeing you out with him in Nigeria. So is that a new thing, or?
Nigeria was so beautiful.
I've heard.
I had the best time.
I've heard. What did you eat?
Ooh, I had some good food. I had pepper soup. I had lots of spicy chicken.
Okay.
Really good.
So I should do the spicy chicken when I
Yes,
go.
because it was really good. I really had a great time.
What about the nightlife? We saw you in the club with Burna.
Yes, the nightlife.
Uh-huh.
It was so many lights, so many colors.
So many cameras.
I know. So many cameras.
We be all in, like everything with you when you're.
What are you trying to ask, Lauren?
I'm getting there. Last time you were here was now is Burna Boy. We want to know, is that your boo? Is this the thing? Y'all together? Do y'all go together real bad? Y'all just having fun? What is it?
Well, I'm a grown woman, so I had a great time in Nigeria. I really did.
So I guess I'm not gonna get an answer on if you cared about when you left. There was the video. People were like, "Oh my God, the Chloe time is over. Now he's out with this random other girl."
What?
I didn't see that.
Burna Boy, he was out with a random
You
other
a
girl.
snitch because I ain't even see that.
All over the internet, all over the, but it's because y'all were so heavily together. We were like, oh shoot, we don't see her do this much.
Yeah.
And then, so.
Hey, he's a grown man. It's like I'm a grown woman.
You know, I could imagine dating at 20-something and being put on the air about
being super famous.
Cameras.
Right?
Oh my cameras. Could you imagine the stuff that you did when you were young and somebody videotaped you?
People are expecting the minute that they see her on that carpet, they're going to be looking. Like, because
Looking for who?
anybody that she's with is always a thing. Anybody she's with. Like,
she could have been going to Bible study. I mean, you know,
There
she
you
got
go,
lessons.
You and Burna Boy Bible study. I seen it.
You know you my girl. You had told me you was in there studying the Bible. I would have been like, you know what, God is good. Okay,
all the
you know
time.
you my girl.
You can study anytime, even in the club.
But I'm stuck.
I've been calling you too. My girl.
You know, I got a 25-year-old girl, and I can't imagine her being grilled on live like that. It's
By
like,
another woman.
By another
First of
woman.
all,
Like,
Chloe, did you feel like I was grilling you?
No.
Okay.
But
I don't
as a
ever want you to feel like I'm
Oh,
grilling
no, you don't.
And don't get it twisted.
You know
Chloe's
when I got-
spicy. Chloe,
Oh, yeah.
she done shot at me many a time.
She would have let me know. She done told him.
She
you
done
don't know how
bullied
to-
me many a
Yeah.
time.
But you
Well,
know when I
I'm
got my
sorry.
pen, I have the questions that I'll be wanting to know.
Yeah, no, I
I
don't
know
think.
Godmama done gave you that look. Keep it up.
Twice.
No, me and Godmama,
Keep it
Godmama,
up twice.
behind the scenes, Godmama already got on me before, so I love her. She gonna let you know though.
But no, honestly, I don't mind. I mean, I hate to say this, but it's my life. I mean, it's what I sign up for. So I can only expect it. It's just about how I handle it, and how I handle myself. So I don't think it should ever be pissiness towards the people who ask me. You know?
And I think as a woman watching you navigate it, I'm always interested in how you deal with that because, for instance, you're here about the NAACP Image Awards, but it's like, we want to know that, so we have to ask. And
Of
being a
course.
person who's now learning how to be in the light of everything, I'm like, how do you deal
Plus,
with
her
that?
love life
Yeah.
is very slow, Chloe. Like, very slow.
Wow.
Like, no, very slow.
I don't
Like,
believe
nothing
that.
serious.
No
Like,
way.
nothing there.
I don't
That's
believe
it.
I know you got a roster.
Hold
I don't
Whoa,
believe.
sis.
She
hold
d-
on,
no, she
dang.
don't.
Roster,
No, she don't.
I don't even,
She
I
really
don't
don't.
know how to
Come
spell
on,
roster.
you like boom.
Her phone is dry.
Dry as heck. One thing I
Well,
learned
guess
about
what?
getting on
Because
this
they're
radio,
intimidated.
it's very
Period.
dry. I am a wife. All I do is stay home. I just want to cook.
You said you a wife.
Well, you got a
not a
husband.
wife.
She got a husband.
I will be a wife.
She got a husband in her head.
A husband in
Listen,
waiting.
I'm domesticated. This radio has made me be quiet. Okay.
Well, guess what?
You get on
Someone
here and say
is ready
them.
for that.
I know he
So
is.
it's preparing you for that.
No, it's not.
Person.
I appreciate it.
I do
And
have a
see,
question.
and Derrick and Scott,
You
this
see
is what
what just
happens when you
happened
bring
right here?
Chloe with you there.
This is coexisting. This is NAACP and BT coming together. This is the girls coming together.
Yes.
I do have to
Don't
ask
do
a
that.
question.
I love that.
Oh God.
Did you have security there? Because you seemed too accessible to everybody while you were there.
In Nigeria?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, they were surrounding me.
Okay, all right,
Oh,
making
yes. Surrounding me.
sure. Okay, because you were just too accessible. It was every time they posted a video, I got scared. I'm like, something's gonna happen bad. But you said security was there.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was with
All
Big Burna.
around.
She was
Circle.
good.
All
Okay.
around.
All right, just
They
making
treated me so well out there.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Now back to the
Spicy chicken.
NAACP Awards.
Spicy chicken.
Now, how are these nominees chosen? How do you guys choose the nominees, and how do you guys go to who's winning?
And how do y'all expand the categories every year? Because, things change, right? You got social media personality here now. Of course,
Podcasters,
podcasts. Like, how do
streamers.
you expand the categories?
So start with the last question. We recognize that the industry is changing, so we try to keep up. And we add categories, digital content categories, fashion design. There's a panel of close to 500 people, half industry, half non-industry, that's been selected across the country. And those are the individuals that review the materials and they nominate. Oftentimes, I don't even know what's being nominated until I finally get it. And then there are multiple of the categories that have specialized committees, like the literary category. A bunch of professors and other people who read a lot of books, right? And so we have those special categories. And then once nominated, some of the categories are voted on by the public. And so it's by popular vote in some areas, and then in other areas it's by those who are critics in the space to ensure fairness in the outcome. To celebrate the art is both the creativity but also what's popular. It is that mix that we try to stay right there in the middle, because something can be really creative and no one will want to watch it, and something can be horrible that everyone's watching but have no artistic value. So there is a mix that we try to balance those two things out.
Gotcha. I want to ask, when it comes to documentaries, how difficult is it to do documentaries for BET, right? Because, of course, we love New Edition. But
That was a movie, though.
Yeah, that was a movie. But when I see stuff like everything's shifting to Netflix and taking out of movies, right? You're seeing a lot of things. But when I see stuff like the Bob Marley movie, right, I was like, more people would have seen it and appreciated it probably on BET. Or when I hear
Probably not.
What movie
Luther
were they going to
Vandross.
see? What movie
Luther Vandross on CNN, and that was good. That was good.
Wendy Williams died.
Wendy Williams. I understand what NB's saying because like all of these people, like they're great black icons to us. So why not be on BET? Why doesn't BET get that program?
So it all depends on what the show is, right? So to the extent that someone's willing to pay a huge number, right? So for example, one of the series that was nominated in the NAACP Image Awards, see, I'm trying to bring it back. One of the things that was nominated was Fight Night, right? With Will Packer's project.
I got not nominated?
Yes, a ton of nominations.
Oh, so you got more than one nomination?
Yeah, that's right. And it has, with Kevin and crew. And the reality is it's an extraordinary project with an amazing cast.
You know that started as the iHeart podcast, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it started. Will Packer produced the iHeart True Crime podcast, Fight Night, and then that evolved into.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Nice.
I'm actually old enough to remember the Sidney Poitier movie that actually was based on that same experience. You guys wasn't Let's Do It Again, but it was one of those back in the day. But having said that, that's an amazing project that was filled with extraordinary actors from our community, right? And amazing producers and directors from our community. It was also pretty expensive to produce. And at the end of the day, Peacock was willing to step up and make that commitment. And our view at BET is our objective is not to have everything. Our objective is actually to support our community. And our role isn't to be the exclusive platform. Our role is to be part of the landscape, right? So Kevin has a huge relationship with Netflix, obviously. He did this project with Peacock, and we'll have the new Kevin Hart, Lil Kev animated series on BET Plus coming in March, right? Which is about Kevin's story growing up in Philadelphia. And it's got Wanda Sykes and Dion Cole and other folks in it, right?
And Jess Hilarious.
Jess Hilarious, there you go. So the reality is, our view is no individual consumes all of their media from a single platform. Those days are over, right? People are snacking here, snacking there, snacking. And what we have to do is we have to be a critical part of that ecosystem. And so, again, using Lee Daniels as an example, Lee had Empire, right, on Fox. And it was important that Lee had Empire on Fox. And we had Miss Pat on BET Plus. And that's our view is, and we have Tyler Perry. We have the biggest relationship with Tyler Perry, but Tyler also has movies on Amazon. He's got a series on Netflix. And so our view is, our role is to be a part of the ecosystem, and in so doing, actually allow everybody in the community to do better, right? There are times where I'll say to talent, they'll come and pitch us on a thing, and I'll say, okay, we love this. If there isn't a home for it somewhere else, we've got you. But if you can find a home for it somewhere else that's going to give you even better economics than the market economics will give you, we support you having that experience as well.
So is money the biggest issue that legacy institutions like BET and NAACP are facing?
Well, for us, we're not, squarely in the entertainment industry, so that it's not as much about money, but understand the entertainment industry is driven by companies who are trying to sell products. And so that's what finance both documentaries, short form, reality shows, all of it is all funded by corporate America. And so we will fool ourselves if we think that BET can wake up one morning and say, I'm going to do that project, and there's no marketing dollars behind it to support it. Because the revenue wouldn't add up, BET would exist. So all of this, including the shows, are all driven by the marketing dollars of corporations.
Do you think that money is ever going to funnel the way that you're mentioning? Like, you have these relationships, they have the other relationships with like the Netflixes, the Peacocks, and sometimes they get behind things, but do you think that there will ever be that like clear line of exchange where they're supporting the stuff and you guys are getting the dollars you need?
Yeah, and I'll say this, the BET's business partners are extraordinary partners to BET. They step up again and again and again. I mean, we're not going to put numbers out here, but the amount of money that we have to invest in content is extraordinary across BET Linear and BET Plus. And we invest more money in content in 2024, 2025 than we did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The reality is content's gotten a lot more expensive, right? Let's call it. And there are a lot more platforms that are now pursuing our audience. And so the issue for us is, again, having the most watched show in all of television among Black households, that's a win. Like, no matter how I cut that, that's an absolute win. Having 13 nominations for the 2056 NAACP Image Awards. That's a win. And we're investing and we're supporting those things. And I think the key is we need our advertising partners to continue to support BET, and thank goodness they really do. They step up consistently. They step up for the Image Awards. They step up for the BET Awards. They step up for all of our partnerships. But the reality is, there are only one or two media companies in the world, forget about legacy or new, there are only one or two media companies in the world that don't have to work within financial parameters. Right. And so we have to work within financial parameters just like anybody else, and we optimize our decisions around investments and content. The Image Awards are such an important part of our mission at BET, serving our community, serving our culture, celebrating Black excellence. But we don't just partner with the NAACP around the Image Awards. We partner with the NAACP across the year because of its role in our community.
It just pisses me off that we get the crumbs. Like why isn't Paramount doing more? Just like why does BET have to not have any money?
Well, I need to really clarify. BET has a lot of money. When you contrast it, we invest more money in Black content than any other single company, right? The difference is, an example like a Peacock, they can decide they're going to make one big swing in 2024 and spend X on that one project. Mm-hmm. We're BET, right? We can't make one project and expect everybody to say, oh, thank you, we're satisfied, right? We have to have consistent content every single week across all of these platforms. So we invest it differently. But having said that, we have a lot of support from Paramount. BET is thriving, and we are, again, to that point, 13 nominations this year. We last year we had, Primetime Emmy nominations. We had a Tony nomination. We had a Grammy nomination. So the business is really thriving. It's just like any other business. You have to make really rational decisions about how you allocate your resources.
But Netflix has 64 nominations at the Image Awards, right?
Yeah.
Yes. They have a budget that's fundamentally different than
but
anybody.
I'm saying, wouldn't they be leading the charge with Black content?
Well, their business model is different. It's not reliant on marketing revenue. There's a subscription base. And so you have to look at the business model of the platform. Mm-hmm. Like Amazon, their model is capturing data and reselling data. So they take loss on content for the purpose of capturing data and consumer behavior so they can go ahead and sell that data. So it all depends on the platform and their business model.
Well, BET Plus is subscription-based, right?
It is. But to your point, the question is, what constitutes Black content? In part, for Netflix, you can have 64 nominations. I think that's the number. But you can have that many nominations, less because you're creating a lot of Black content, but across this huge universe of content that you're creating, you're using Black talent, right? Yeah. It can be an ensemble with one person who's Black, right? It can be a movie ensemble with one person who's Black. They get a nomination for that, and because they have such a huge volume of content they're creating, they just have more shots, at the basket.
I also want to ask about comedy as well. You see Netflix is heavy into comedy. You see a lot, they're giving comedy deals to damn near every comedian. Has BET ever wanted to jump back into that space? Because BET was one of the huge originators, especially of Black comedy.
That's right, with Comic View. Did Dion Cole put you up to this question? Because he's been beating me up about this.
No, but he's been up here recently, but now he hasn't.
Yes. So the reality is we're always looking for the way back into places, right? And we did a quick partnership with Kevin Hart and Heartbeat where we did a test run of bringing back Comic View. And part of the thing is that really understanding how our community wants to consume content, right? And also understanding some people will use certain content as a loss leader for other things, right? And so, and I'm not saying who would be using it as a loss leader, but there are other platforms that are paying, using content as a loss leader for other things. So we're working with Dion right now to do a really fun thing in stand-up comedy. He'll be thrilled that you put me on the spot and asked the question. But we think comedy clearly works, right? We see it working with the Miss Pat show. The series we have with Dion, Average Joe, is a thriller that has a comedic line through it. We really see that our audience loves comedy. Miss Pat, in addition to her Miss Pat show, we do Miss Pat Settles It, which is her doing a crazy court show. And so our audience is loving it. We think in 2025, given the way the world has changed, people need to laugh even more. And so there'll be an even greater demand for comedy, so we're leaning into it in a big way.
Have there been conversations, Derrick, about changing the name of the NAACP, since some people think colored people is a slur?
No. No. As we sit around the table, we got all the colors around the table, don't we? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we have not. I mean, if we get caught up in semantics, we lose focus. And there's no need to go to the semantics. We are an organization that's been around 116 years. That's significant. When you talk about this concept of a surplus mindset, that what we can do, we can stick together, we can work together, we can prosper together. Oftentimes we say, well, black folks won't do what we can do, what we haven't done. We got to get away from that and not get caught up in semantics. At the end of the day, are we being effective with our mission, making democracy work for all and ensuring opportunity for our community? That's our focus. The semantics go out the door.
Yeah, I asked that because I think was it last year? It was it was one of the presidents. I forgot from which chapter of the NAACP. They were upset because somebody used the word colored people somewhere.
I have no idea. I don't see if you wonder every time I run across him, he asks a question because he's been saying y'all need to change the name. He's been saying that since like 82. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does he see about the name that?
Shut up.
Y'all may not.
Shut up.
I haven't.
Shut up.
What? I'm just asking a question.
It's a lack of subtlety. Right.
You know, at the end of the day, the Image Awards is the crown jewel of shows for African Americans, right? It gives us an opportunity for all of us to come together and appreciate the culture we bring to the table.
Save him.
Right? And we do that intergenerationally across all of the platforms.
That's right. And you can the voting is now open to the public at NAACPImageAwards.net.
That's right. And we appreciate you guys for joining us this morning.
Yeah, so stop dragging Chloe around for no reason. She's busy. She got things that she could be doing.
She wants to
Okay.
be here. She out here for her people.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right,
She
ladies
should
and
be
gentlemen.
Yes. And I
Do you want to host?
Yes. I
If
would
you
love
were
to host.
if you were announced as the host, I think it would make so much sense
would
because you
love-
out here outside.
Right?
Well, we don't know what y'all plans are.
Y'all putting pressure on it. They might have another host and you just effing it
And
up.
she says she want to host too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or if I don't host, I could sing a little song.
Listen, we've been rolling with them since they were 11 and 12 years old. So y'all new to this. We've been around with them
Period.
a long time. So get out our business.
Talk
You had
heavy.
Anthony.
Talk
You had
heavy.
Anthony Anderson.
That's right.
Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah did 2 years. Anthony Anderson did 8. So how do you determine, like, if she come? No, you looking at me like you want to rap.
No,
okay.
I'm
Like you want to rap?
Like you want to wrap it
Like
up.
wrap it
Like,
up.
all right. You about to ask for Queen Latifah?
When we announce the host, everybody gonna say, "Oh, that is a great choice, good decision." And the host's gonna come on with Scott and they're gonna talk about why that person is the host, and y'all gonna say this is the best thing that could have ever happened.
How you gonna feel about it, Chloe, if it's not you? Are you gonna feel away?
I would feel good if I get a performance slot. And then I won't feel hurt about the non-hosting slot.
You know, what I will say is I think Chloe's comment, before somehow we diverted to Burna Boy, Chloe's comment.
That was
right.
Get me back in the hot seat.
right.
I feel you.
Right,
I feel you.
right.
I like your
But
energy in the
I
show.
thought Chloe's comment about the power of the example of collaboration and the importance of that to our community was extraordinarily insightful and terribly timely, because I think in our community this is 2025. We have a lot of healing to do and a lot of kind of reconnecting and a lot of collaborating required for us to make progress with respect to the things that are important. So I was extraordinarily impressed with that insight and the thoughtfulness of that. And it creates more opportunities for wonderful things to do with Chloe.
Absolutely.
Collaboration be
We gonna
dope.
see you pop up,
Chloe,
girl. I know that's right. Go Chloe.
Chloe and Burna Boy hosting the NAACP. That collaboration would be great. That'd be a great collaboration.
And
For
you
the
all can take
record,
credit
when
for it.
he brought that back up, I did.
All right. Well,
I
it's
was
Chloe
leaning into the
Bailey, Derrick
performance.
Johnson, Scott Mills. We appreciate you for joining us. Check out the NAACP, the 56th NAACP Image Awards, February 22nd at 8 p.m. And where y'all shooting this at?
On BET
LA?
and CBS.
Atlanta?
LA.
I do like the fact that CBS airs it.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because this is the second time they did that, right? Or second or
No,
third?
this would be third.
Yes.
Third.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.